Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. Happy Friday. We've got our series of hope for inspiration to push through and keep going no matter what, and not to give up on your beautiful life and what it is that you're creating. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you as always. My first guest is Perri. She is here and she is a transformational life coach, certified divorce and empowerment coach, a holistic mindset and money coach, and an accomplished 3 times best-selling author. Her journey from adversity to triumph fuels her mission to empower women through life's challenges. A beacon of resilience, Jennifer's unique blend of financial expertise and coaching guides women to script their own comeback stories. I love that. I definitely want to talk to you about that. Recognized by prestigious media outlets and honored with awards, Jennifer inspires transformation, proving that the human spirit can overcome any obstacles. Welcome to the show today, Perri.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be here, Kornelia.
I'm so glad that you're out there doing this work, helping women, create and live their best life and really, leave behind the challenges that a lot of women are faced with, and how to break free and how to be unlimited. Did this happen in your own life? Is that how you became to be the woman that you are? Do you want to tell us about that? How did that all begin?
Sure. It is. I literally decided a long time ago that I knew nobody was coming to save me. So I needed to save myself and carve the life out for myself that I wanted. My first marriage was extremely abusive, spent a decade of losing who I was. And the only way that I survived that was he went to prison for what he did for me. And I had to break free from that and rediscover who I was. And in trying to put together all of those pieces, I realized that there were a lot of things in the world that were missing, that people like me who were facing trauma and coming out of, divorce and abuse, there was a lot of shame in it 25 years ago. There still is shame in it today. But when I looked for the people in my life that I needed to help me make sense of it, I couldn't find her. I couldn't find that support. And I knew that was at that point in time, I was preserved for a reason. I could have lost my life many times, but I didn't. And I knew that at that point in time, I had to become the woman that I desperately needed. I needed to become that for other women. And, fast forward that, coming out of being of abuse and divorce and being a single mom, and became a business owner. I've been a very successful business owner. And 2 years ago, woke up not feeling too good. And within 2 days, I was paralyzed from the shoulders down, diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome at 50 years old. And I was in the hospital for a month and in a wheelchair and couldn't walk. And they told me, well, it's going to take a couple years maybe for you to start over. And at 50 years old, I had to learn how to walk again. And I had to learn how to use my hands and feed myself, curl my hair right, all of those things. So I have had lots of mountains in my life to move. And I just have continued to press on and teach other women to move their mountains too, and to be by their side to help them.
Wow, I've never even heard of that syndrome. What's it called again?
Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Wow. So that must have been really, really scary to, wake up feeling paralyzed and not knowing what to do. What did you do you have a strong connection? Do you have a strong connection with your creator, with God, or how do you?
I do.
Do you feel that that was a big piece of your um, resilience, is to have that faith and to have that love and connection?
Absolutely. I do. I believe that that was, laying there. And one of the scariest things was being able to literally feel yourself become
Mm,
paralyzed and have no ability to stop it. And normally, people that go through what I went through, it eventually paralyzes your lungs and your diaphragm and your ability to breathe. And a lot
wow.
of people end up on a ventilator. And it literally paralyzed me up to here and then went into partial, my face was paralyzed too. It left me the ability to breathe. And I honestly think I'm a preacher's daughter. And I know that my parents were face down praying that I would get through this. And I know that it was definitely faith and my family, my husband, and my clients, all the clients who I have spent 2 decades of my life helping them transform their lives, were sending me text messages, sending me gifts and flowers, sending me notes, all with the words that I had poured into their life when they needed it. They were sending it back. So it was just a tremendous amount of energy and prayers and love and faith that there is no doubt in my mind that's why I'm still here.
Now, did you, wow, that sounds amazing, to be so vulnerable, the way that you were, and to be in such a state of receiving, uh, from your friends and your clients and your family, and then of course from God, from source. Now, do you feel that there were like with what happened, do you feel there were wake up calls or knock knocks before that happened, or did that just all of a sudden happen?
You mean as far as what caused me to get into? Okay, yeah, well, no, I didn't. It is being tied to my vaccines.
Oh, okay. Ah, okay.
So you'll see Guillain-Barré on the very small print
Mm,
underneath of flu vaccines and shingles vaccines and things like that. So it is a very rare neurological um, occurrence, and
wow.
very, very, very scary. And in the hospital, like I didn't want it happened so fast. We didn't even know what it was. They thought I was having a stroke. Then they thought maybe I had MS.
Mm,
So they took me through all the motions and then they did a spinal tap, and that's how they found out what it was. But there was a part of me that I struggled with. I had a very successful practice, and I'm thinking, how can I now tell my clients that I can't hold a phone, I can't text, I can't, all I could do was talk and use my mind. I couldn't move anything else. And there was that little bit of an ego there where I thought, if I show that I'm vulnerable to my clients, they're going to think I can't be there for them. But I
yeah.
spent a lot of time and thought. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to give transparency to what's going on in my life. And I just went to social media, and every day I brought people along with me, and I showed them, I'm like, you know what? I've been through so much in my life. I felt like I was in training for this moment, right? I'd been through so much in my life, and that it was okay to show people that you needed to ask for help and to be vulnerable, because it was actually one of the strongest things you can do. So once I decided to bring people on that transformation with me, cheering me along, it literally opened up my practice, the people that I would have never reached before, because I was willing, I made the decision to allow people to see the tough parts of my life too. And that
Wow.
wasn't,
That takes a lot of courage to do that.
it
Yeah.
did. Especially when you
Yeah.
couldn't put makeup on or do your hair, right? You're like,
Right.
please don't let anybody show. And then my face was partially paralyzed, so I couldn't smile. I had
Oh
to
my,
wear an eye patch because couldn't shut my eye. So there was just a lot of ugly in that. And that was hard.
yeah. Wow. And so today, are you back 100%?
I will probably never be 100%. They didn't think that I would walk for a year and a half or so. I took my first steps in 56 days, and
Wow.
have continued on. I am probably about 75% healed, I would say.
Okay.
I still don't have all the sensation in my hands. I still have to wear braces on my legs. I don't have all the sensation back in my legs. I may never get all of that back, but I'm blessed. I can drive, I can travel, I can use my hands, I can, so I will probably never be 100%, but knowing me, I probably will get to the point where I am. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
doubt myself much in anything.
That's so great. And you're beautiful. It's amazing
Thank you.
because you would never know looking at you. And you're helping people still to this day. You're writing and you're helping people. And the energy that you exude just feels, purposeful and joyful and hopeful. That's how I'm feeling with you today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what, you're on social media. So let's tell the audience right now on Facebook where they can look and follow you uh, on Facebook or all your social media handles.
So J Perri Coaching, and Perri is spelled with an I. So it's JPERRI Coaching. I'm on Instagram. It's the same handle on Facebook. I do have a Facebook, a group called Women Entrepreneurs, Empowered Women Entrepreneurs. I go in there and I help women with, right this week, we're doing self-confidence. And I have a 30-day greater self-love challenge in there. And there are ways that people can connect with me in there. You can go out to my website. I'm also a documentary filmmaker. I have multiple documentaries that are out right now that are talking about human trafficking and subliteracy and illiteracy in the country. So there's a lot of things that you can learn about me by going out to my website, which is jenniferperri.com.
Yeah. Wow, that's huge. Human trafficking, that's definitely something that needs to be exposed more and more and more because this is something that's been going on for such a long time, but people don't talk about it. So, yeah, is this something you're passionate about as well? The
Oh,
children?
extremely.
Yeah, yeah,
Extremely. And there was a lot that when you hear about it, you hear about the big things, right? You hear about things that are happening around the world. And the documentary that we just did called It's Happening Right Here is talking about how children are being trafficked in our
yeah,
country, in your community, in their own bedrooms, in your
yeah,
home.
yeah.
So it was very eye-opening for me. We have 5 grandchildren,
Oh,
and it was just very eye-opening for social media and how kids are talking to people on social media and how scary it can be. So I just encourage people to go out and watch it with your kids or your grandkids so that they know the hidden dangers that are there.
yeah, it's really amazing how quiet and how this has been going on for so long, and it's right here in our neighborhoods. That's the piece, and that this has been going on for such a long time.
Yes.
That we definitely have to put a stop to it in our new earth. That we don't create the same things again. Just to be more aware, because we know it's happening, and not to put a blind eye to what's going on because we need to create safe spaces. We need to create community. We need to create our new earth based on values and connection and protection, and not let the human trafficking, child trafficking go on right in on our watch, basically.
Exactly right. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so huge. I remember when I first learned about it, I was so triggered emotionally. It took me a while to, really process all the grief and emotion that I felt around it. It took a while. So, I'm so glad about people like you that are out there that are creating this. I've had other guests on the show before that talked about how they're doing good works out there with, helping create safe spaces for children.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, do you think this is also tied to what you were going through with with your divorce? Because you mentioned the shame, and is that something that is tied to that, or?
Well, I honestly think that there are just a lot of topics I can think about just growing up. Like, you didn't talk about things like this. You didn't talk about how people were struggling to. I have friends that went through the entire school system who couldn't read, let alone people that I knew that were probably being things happening in their own home that I didn't know. So when I had the opportunity to become a part of this Abundant Studios, it was really to shed a light on topics that were really difficult for people to talk about. And I wanted to make sure people understood that there is no shame in, if something has happened and you're stuck in something like this, there are people out there to help you, and you can rebuild your life, and you can come from being stuck in shame and being extremely successful with the decisions that you make going forward. I dealt with that in my own life personally, certainly not as somebody who was trafficked or things like that, but being afraid to talk about what was going on in my own home, being afraid to somebody to say, see, I told you not to get involved with that person, or I told you not to do this, or, a lot of people think that when you're stuck in a domestic violence situation, you can just get up and leave. And it's easy for somebody to say when they haven't been in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very difficult thing. So I think it's just, I wanted to make sure I could help collectively shine a light on topics that were really hard to talk about, because those people, I was one of those people who couldn't talk about them. I was afraid to. So giving, like you said, creating a safe space is definitely the driving force for me in that.
I definitely want to have you come back and for you and I to do another show where we can talk about the this and go a little bit deeper into it. So I appreciate.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Good. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. For now, let's give the audience the social media handles again, where they can find you. And then you also have a book, right? Do you have the book handy that you can show us?
I do. I actually have 2 books right now.
Oh, yeah, you can just give us the titles and tell us where to get them.
Sure. So the first one is Quiet and Badass. That came out last year. You can go on to Amazon. It came out in September of last year, and just look up Quiet and Badass. I have a brand new book that came out just 2 weeks ago with Dick Vitale. It's called Never Give Up. It's a collaborative book. So I'm one of the people in there. My chapter is called Wounded Healer. And I have a new book. I just signed a book deal with Lisa Nichols, and her and I are going to be doing a book with some other authors coming out in the new year, called Rise Up. And find me. I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook under J Perri Coaching. And then my website is just jenniferperri.com.
That's awesome, Jennifer. I'm really impressed with how you've risen out of all the challenges that you have faced, and especially your health challenge and where you are today. And I have no doubt about that you're going to, be on your way to 100% again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish you all the best. And certainly let's be in touch about, having a longer discussion in the future. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity to come on and talk with you today.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. My next guest is joining us from the UK. I just love how we can, meet on the internet and bring you such valuable content in the hopes that it will change and transform and inspire your life. Claire Dore, she is the Wild Woman CEO, the dating empress, and rebel queen. She's a mindset and embodiment coach. She coaches soul alignment entrepreneurs to F logic and embody an unshakable trust. She coaches and empowers you to release the BS stories so that you can step fully into your power and live the orgasmic, truly turned on life that you desire. She says, tell me if this is you. What I've seen is these women all have 3 things in common: addiction to being busy, people pleasing, and believing that they're not the only ones who can do anything in their life and business. Does this sound familiar? She teaches you to do way less. Seriously, will cut your to-do lists by 90%, drop the people pleasing, and learn to delegate so that you can reclaim your time, your sanity, and enjoy a juicy, fulfilling life that truly turns you on. Does that sound impossible? She cannot tell you the power in slowing down. And she's talking about having time to sit down in your day, find the pleasure, listen deeply, and not run around a million miles an hour. Welcome to the show today, Claire.
Oh, thank you for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. It's amazing to be here.
Yeah, I see this a lot too, because I work with women entrepreneurs and just women, they're just so running all the time, so busy all the time, not so worried about not letting other people down, and just having all of these things to do, that they forget about really listening and tuning in what their needs are.
100%. And I think this really comes down to conditioning. You know, we've been conditioned to be busy, and I think those that become mums as well, it's like, oh, like you suddenly like fall down the needs ladder, and it's like, actually, like, we need to always be number one. And I think it's really recognizing that we can't be the best we are to everyone without really filling our own cup first.
Yes, we do have to. Yeah, because if you don't know what you need, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? When you don't know that, then how can you even communicate that to someone else, or even communicate your boundaries, like, no, not right now, or no, I need more space, or no, I need more time, or whatever it may be. But if you don't know the answers to that, how can you communicate that to your beloveds, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, one of the biggest things that I see amongst women and my clients, potential clients, my audience, is they don't know what they want. They don't know what they want, and they don't, that it's almost like they don't even know how to voice it. And of course, like, without that clarity, like, absolutely, how can you have ask for the support you need and really step into, owning your boundaries and going, no, can't do that. And I think, that's where the whole people pleasing comes in. We've been kind of wired like, you need to get on with everyone, like, don't ruffle anyone's feathers. Um, and the only person that hurts is yourself.
Yeah. Before we came on the show today, you were talking about how you really wanted to highlight trust, that to really focus on trusting yourself, but that is also something that a lot of women have a hard time doing, is trusting themselves. Now, you went from a life of being married to, do you want to just give us a little bit of, how you stepped from this one and then completely changed your life?
Yes, I do. And yeah, it's a really big story, but I will cut it down. And yeah, it really, to be honest, it was a real embodiment of trust and unshakable trust. And I think, we haven't been conditioned to trust ourselves. And I think we are really powerful beings, like when we can really tune into our intuition and take aligned actions from that place. But yeah, it's not what we've been taught. So something so I was married for 19 years and with my ex-husband for 21. And I kind of recognized I wasn't happy for a number of years, but there was a lot of fear there. And so that kind of like kept me there. And I think also what also played out was like this societal conditioning, like, you walk down the aisle, you stay forever, like till death do us part. And yeah, I recognized that caused me to stay longer, though, like, I believe everything happened at the right time. And then what happened was I was actually in the middle of leading my first ever retreat with a group of women, and I went through the start of a spiritual awakening. And what happened was I became so connected to myself. It was almost like it was non-negotiable to not leave.
Mm.
Like, it was so clear. And even though there was like fear there, it was not consuming me. It was like this, it was like my soul was screaming, like, you need to go now. And there were a few things that were just like red flags for me, and just like giving me signs to go, right, that it's going to happen. I didn't know when. It wasn't something I planned. The words just fell out at not the best time, but I don't think there is ever a best time, right? And I think taking that leap, and it was a leap into the unknown. I had no idea what the future looked like. I had no idea how I was going to support myself. I had no idea how my children would react. And, that was probably the thing that was actually keeping me there for longer, because, yeah, I feared disrupting them. But what I also got to see in this moment was I was modeling something to them that I didn't want them to have.
Yeah.
And I think when you make these really big, bold moves that really are like your intuition speaking, which when your intuition speaks, by the way, it speaks with authority and it comes with an energy of courage. And so taking that action from that place, immediately you're creating this trust in yourself. And yeah, I kind of refer to it as like an unshakable trust, when you can really, really lean into those steps, and they don't make sense. They never make sense at all. And I think if you try and make sense of them, which is, using your head, yeah, it's not going to. I mean, it didn't make sense for me to leave. It would have been easier to stay, right? That would have been the comfort. So yeah, and I'd say my life has never been the same since. I cannot even describe. Like, even when I look in the mirror, I almost don't recognize myself. It's dramatic. And I think, going through a spiritual awakening, you literally throw everything up in the air. And it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. It's like, I liken it to like riding a roller coaster at like 600 miles an hour and like never stopping, But yeah, it allowed me to really embody all of me.
So, being the uncomfortable throughout that uncomfortableness, like not following the logic from A to B to C, listening to the intuition, you're hearing the voice say, you have to go. Then you listen to it and you're really feeling called to do it and you do it. And then now you're like totally immersed in this experience that you didn't plan out, that you didn't think about, and that you were just trusting that flow, that guidance that was calling to you. And at the same time, everything is changing. So how would you say that your life is today, that you followed that call, even though it was scary as hell, it was frightening, it was uncomfortable, all the things?
Um, it was so clear for me, is all I can say. It was so, so clear, like one of the clearest message I had ever had. And then what I really noticed is, like, when you make those really big, bold moves and trust yourself in that way, like, I didn't know what the next step was. I didn't know what the step was to get to here, like today, right? 2 years on. And it's what I recognize is it's allowed me to then make some really radical leaps ever since. I mean, I've traveled the world in the last 2 years. Yeah, it's been such an evolution of my soul on such a rapid kind of lightning speed. But yeah, like every single step, it's like, again, just really creating more trust in yourself and a deeper connection. Like, you get so tuned into your body, like you can really, really clearly hear. And in the bio, when you mentioned about having space, like, without space, we don't get to hear it.
Yeah, you have to be willing. You have to be willing, and it sounds like you became the willingness for this to unfold in your life, which then also gives other people permission to do the same in their lives, because it exists. It's here, And so I want to tell the audience, thank you so much for coming on the show. It goes by very quickly in just these short segments, but we can certainly have you on for a future longer chat about, a deeper level of trust. But let's tell the audience where they can find you on social media.
Thank you. So they can find me on Instagram and TikTok, The Wild Woman CEO, and on Facebook, Claire Dore.
Yeah, you look amazing, Claire. I can tell that you are fully in your feminine and relaxed. And thank you so much for coming on the show today and doing the good work that you're out there doing, helping women experience a deeper level of trust in who they are.
Thank you. I really love talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. My next guest is joining us from Budapest, Hungary. I just love this so much. And her name is Girsha Andrea Steigler. She's an economist, EU-related international procurement expert, orgasm coach, trauma healing, and grief recovery specialist. She's the founder of the Empress O Method and the Conscious Woman Academy. Andrea help women become confident in their orgasms so that they can heal their past trauma and abusive relationships. In the last 20 years, she's learned hundreds of methods all around the world from the best teachers and masters. In her unique and holistic Empress O method, she combines ancient traditions and methods learned all over the world with modern trauma healing and grief recovery. By applying this unique holistic method, clients reach true transformation with rewriting their old stories and unleashing the full potential of the woman in them, which has already brought lifelong change to nearly 5,000 women worldwide. Welcome to the show today, Girsha, Andrea. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be here.
Thank you so much. Now, you got started in this field because you must have experienced trauma in your own life, and then this is how, and you didn't experience pleasure before, prior to learning all of these things. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And I grew up with a father who was very abusive, and I was expected as a boy, so I felt all the time that I was not good enough for him, and I was scared all the time. It kind of like a standby position, that what will be his mood when he's coming home, and most of the time I just got a criticism and punishment, and also different kind of abuses. And so this is how I grew up, and I couldn't have so much joy. And I had to grow up very quickly, because I had when I was 4, then I had a younger brother was born, and I was always responsible for him, and always, when we had a little fight, and I couldn't defend myself because he was so strong. And even though I had punishment because of all these situations, so therefore, one, I couldn't enjoy my childhood, and on the other hand, I had no joy, just heaviness and pain and traumatic experiences.
So then you became an adult and you realized that you needed to heal those patterns and the grief and everything, the pain that you experienced in your childhood, because it was also blocking you from manifesting, and it was also blocking you from being in pleasure in your own life. Is that right?
Yes, but for a long time I was not conscious for that. And
Yeah.
I wanted to show that, I'm good enough. So I put so much effort in my, studies, and when I was in my 20s, I was in a high position in public administration and also in a corporate world. And also I was with a really, really male-ish types of bossy woman. And when I was 30, that I realized that something is not good, because I also choose abusive relationships in all kinds of friends, relationships or romantic relationship, colleagues and clients. So all the time I just receive back as a mirror all kinds of abuses, like not just, you know, verbal, but also physical, sexual, financial, mental, so all kinds of abuses. And when I was 30, somehow, you know, the rug was pulled out from my ground, and I needed to go in a deeper healing work. And this is how I started to discover that it's not normal, because I got used to it was normal. So this is how I grew up. And what I realized, that so many women, and not only women, but men also, we grew up in this kind of environment, and we got used to for the abusive love language. And that's how, you know, we attract any kind of relationship based on abuse.
Yes. Wow. So you've done a lot of healing, and you've also educated yourself with, you know, the modalities on what to do to, you know, to go from the trauma, from the pain and the grief, to really bringing it into the pleasure, because we talked about it in your bio, the orgasm. Do you want to just speak on that just for a brief few minutes, just so that we can then let the audience know how they can find you on social media?
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's very important. Just one sentence, that when we are abused, we don't feel safe. We are losing the safety. And this is what I experience in my holistic method, that everything is blueprinted in our body. And then from the body memory, we can create, and also with the holistic approach, we can create safety inside, because most of the time we are looking for safety outside. And then when we can find the safety inside, and also we can connect with the pleasure, because we don't want to feel more pain, right? And therefore we don't have access to the pleasure. And pleasure is much wider than just an orgasm. So pleasure in every single thing. And our body is so amazing, so beautiful, magical. And a lot of, you know, pleasure source in that. And this is what I really want to and passionate to show all women and men also to discover this infinite source, which is inherited and rooted in our body and through our body.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, this is the joy and the passion of having our physicality, of being in our physicality and experiencing the bliss and the passion and the joy and the freedom and the safety that you talked about, and the pleasure. I mean, we're here to feel. We're here to feel, you know, and not just to feel the pain, but also to feel the beautiful truth of what it is that we can feel as humans. So how do people find you on social media?
You can find me on Girsha Andrea on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And I have a Facebook group for women, Live Your Best Orgasmic Life. And now I am having every single evening for my time, 15 minutes pleasure infusion, just a little dose of how we can find pleasure in our everyday life.
Oh, that's so good. So are the ladies interested in the 15 minutes of pleasure?
Yes. And then we cannot find excuse that we don't have, let's say, 5 or 10 or 15 minutes in our everyday life, even how busy we are, to find in small pieces of love and pleasure. And kind of like this is how we can recharge ourselves as well. What we can give to ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful call for all women, to the women that are ready to experience pleasure for themselves in your daily life. It doesn't have to be something on a retreat, but something that you can do on a daily basis. At least start, at least make a start. And who knows, you might experience something for yourself that you haven't yet. And there may be something, around the corner that is waiting for you to experience. So, Girsha, thank you so much for coming on the show. What would you like to leave the audience with today with final words?
You have a unique gem, which is magical inside of you, and you can just discover and take time and energy and effort to find it, because we all have this.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing in the world. And thank you for coming on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. And audience, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We will see you again next Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.